Setting up. Getting on live here. Oh. Hi, everyone. I am Tara. Hi, everyone. I am Tara, and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel, Spiritual Talk. I actually had someone ask me a question on one of my TikTok videos. I actually did it on YouTube also. They asked me when I learned the light language. Let me start off by saying it wasn't something that I looked into or went and learned. It was something that just started coming to me. I started speaking a few words here and there, and then it just become extremely fluent where it comes out. Along with the light signing. This is actually clearing energy also. It's sending off light codes to you. It's giving to me also. It's a strange story with regards to how it came to me. As I stated a while back, I got in a car accident in 2006, and then I started going unconscious. And when I go unconscious, my head would kind of slam on the ground and what have you. And this one day I was at Costco, and someone tried to catch me because I said, like, and that's all I got out. They grabbed my arm, my body torqued, and I went sideways. They tried to hold me up, and they ended up dropping me, like, because they couldn't hold me no more because my dead weight. And so when it happened, my hip slammed into the floor. My arm slammed, and when it slammed, it torqued my body, so it folded me in half. And then my face slammed, my head. I was unconscious. I could still hear everything and what have you, and feel everything, but I couldn't respond. And my neck, when they got me moved, I couldn't hold up my head. I wouldn't go in the ambulance because of the way I had been treated in the past. So as time went by, I started having severe pain in the left side of my body because it torqued over, and then it was going very weird, and I was getting tingling up my body. At times I felt like I had like a case of severe frostbite, I felt like my body was on fire, only it was an ice fire, which is worse. So I was going to the hospital and what have you, and they were just saying, oh, it's anxiety, go home, and what have you. And I was kind of treated like crap. So at the end of it, like, I went about 15 times between going to walk-in clinics, emergency. I even went to another province. So things were getting worse. And what was happening is it was like my spirit was trying to leave. And I was kind of going like that because I could feel it leaving, it going like that, kind of following it. And my rib cage was caving in, and I was very ill, very sick. My muscles were deteriorating. I was throwing up. It was a very clear, thick fluid. I was actually blowing bubbles. The bubbles were like that big, and they were formed, and it was very crystal clear. So I started like having things happening. I was seeing into different dimensions. Like, I was seeing myself in a hospital bed with my family around me. I was just some would say it was hallucinating, but no, when you come to death, it's not hallucinating. You're actually seeing the other side of things. You're seeing on different dimensions. You're seeing, because you're dying, but you're waking up in other ways. So I was laying in my bed one night, and I was spitting up blood. I even took the blood sample to them, and they said, well, no, we can't test that because it's not in the proper bottle. So I could feel my body dying. I could feel my body like deteriorating, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. And I was, because I was going there, and they were saying, no, there's nothing wrong with you. And we did all these, did this test and what have you, but that's neither here nor there now. But I learned a lesson not to put my faith in them right now. But I was laying in my bed one night, and I could feel myself dying. And I seen my mom at the foot of my bed. My mom is deceased, but I seen her at the foot of my bed. And I seen one of my sisters in spirit, and they were having the door open, and there were people coming in and out of the room, and finally, like, it was just like, get the F out. And my nephew heard me, and then the next day I went out and I was laying on the couch, and all along I'm going like this because my spirit is like, can't handle it no more. It's trying to leave me. So I kept laying on the couch, and I really don't know how long I was there for, but I could hear my nephew coming in my apartment saying to my son, oh, well, your mother's still sleeping. So I don't know how long I was laying there for, but I was feeling myself go into shock. I was feeling myself die, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. I was home alone, and I started seeing what appeared to be a 3 cluster, like a cluster of lights. Then it duplicated until it was like going up into the sun. It was like one massive bright light. And I don't know how long I was like that for. And when I was coming back, I seen this being. It was up by me. And then all of a sudden it went down and out my window. Someone say, oh, well, you were just hallucinating. Nope. They scan Nashkalan negatai. Kitipitigriyata and suite. C'est Poleta Kuriata. The Shamalena, c'est Sukriata, c'est Kipitibria. So I got up really quickly, and I had like, it was like, how did this happen? So then I ended up going way out of another province. And when I come back, weird stuff was happening. I was seeing on different dimensions. I was like fighting for my soul and what have you, as I explained before. A lot was going on. And this one day I was sitting and I was watching Ancient Aliens. And when they showed a thing with hieroglyphics on it, all of a sudden I started speaking strange. And I thought, okay, well, like I'm speaking gibberish here. So it was like, like, okay. So after that, it became more fluent. I just start, I just started speaking. Okay. And what it is it's spirit. I'm connected. I'm connected, fully connected. I'm fully connected to spirit. Okay. Some people, like I've told people, like it's tongues, God's language, light language, universal language. It's all God's language. Again, I'm gonna get it. Third eye goes poof. So it was all very strange for me. And there was periods like when I was going through the beginning of my awakening, it was like, oh my God, I'm crazy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm crazy. I even went to the psychiatric unit. I felt like an animal at one point. It was like, and I know I was going after raw deer meat. What? So I called the psychiatric unit and said, hey, like, this is what's happening. Like, oh my gosh. So I went in and like you get energy and the energy comes in and it just comes in and we're electrical beings. We're like 95% water. Okay. And I was having the energy come in and I was at the hospital and I was holding controllers and it's like, get it off me, because the controllers were like literally sticking to my hand. It was very so I was speaking the language and I'm a frequency bender. Okay. I listen to a lot of frequencies for DNA healing, for love frequencies, for anxiety, to remove negative energy for myself and around my space, for the immune system, you name it, it's there. Okay. And a lot of people, they'll poo-poo it and it's like, well, like, really? What are you talking about? Nature sounds is a big one. Okay. If you can get out in nature as much as possible, go for it. If you can't, put on nature sounds because it helps to activate your original DNA. Because they tell us that, well, we only use 10% of our brain. We only use 10% of our brain because they're dumbing us down with other stuff like medication, our foods, the stuff they're putting in our foods. I'm going to talk about mercury poisoning because I had mercury poisoning before. And it was because I broke one of those mercury bulbs and I was sweeping it up. And my face was like this far. Like I was here and my face was right here. So I was breathing this in and what it feels like, it feels like you ate insulation. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's worse than like anything you can imagine. And they just poo-poo it when I called poison control. Oh, well, you can't get mercury poisoning because there's only like 4 milliliters in it. Wait a minute. You get the poisoning by inhaling the vapors. So it doesn't matter how much milliliters there is or what have you. So that went on for, oh my gosh, a few years. And I started like, I went from 184 down to 94 pounds in like 5 months. People thought I was anorexic and everything. So back to, because that's kind of what I'm getting to right now with regards to the dumbing us down. Okay. They put mercury in stuff and they tell, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there is. Okay. Think of Superman. Okay. Because we are spiritual beings. We are light. We can actually levitate and fly. Did you ever have dreams that you're flying? Well, that's because you have. And it's a memory. Or it's you're gone astral projecting and you're projecting what you've done, what you've already lived. So as these things were going on with me, like I get very light. Like like I could just lift up and fly, but I keep going down like that. I get, and you grab the energy. Okay. So as I started going more and more into my awakening, the enlightenment, as it spoke about in the biblical sense, that's what we're going through right now. And in verses in the Bible, in Peter, Matthew, Revelations, what have you, it states that we are supposed to be speaking tongues because tongues is God's language. It's the universal language. Some say, oh, well, no, tongues is bad. No, it's not. Se tole ele kelne se shole asile etria tu brigata tigera matu brigata tigera tu tuye. Okay? It's releasing shadows. Like we are messengers of God. We are God's children. We are made in the image of God. And people are thinking, well, okay, what are you doing like you're preaching about God? Are you a Bible thumper? No, not a Bible thumper. I'm explaining experiences. Okay. So after I died and come back, like you become more of an Indian savant. Like I keep a journal, and I've been noticing in my journal that I'm drawing stuff that has to do with quantum physics, algebra. I quit in grade 8. Okay. I never learned that stuff, but I'm writing it. I'm writing light language. I'm signing. I'm speaking. And it feels really good. And like I said before, I had somebody tell me that, oh, well, it's satanic because somebody from a church told him it's satanic. Well, wait a minute. Have you really read your Bible? I'm not being ignorant. I'm just saying, how can somebody teach someone or preach to someone and tell somebody that, oh, well, this is wrong? Like, oh, no, that's bad. Well, no. Read your Bible. Okay? We are of God's children. And this is where this language come from. I am connected with the universe. I am connected with spirit. I'm centered. Se putegeta. Kitare si sa eleshele ele kremor kuria ti tole ki pitotaria marekri toti. Si tai ki tuye shomaniam. People say, well, you're just moving your hands. Well, no. Brian, kitiria se tui. Shele ola ekwe. Simika totaria pari. Tikinan. Tikriata toye say. Tikuria totaria mugurige. It's clearing the energy in all the chakras so that I can speak forth. I am very enlightened. People say, you're enlightened, all right. You're a little crazy. Had to be crazy because crazy is awake. But it's I love it. It's very energetic. It's connected. And there were times when I felt like, okay, well, I'm not getting very on my journey. Like, I don't know much. Like, I feel pretty stupid, and we're supposed to be getting wisdom and more intelligent. But I am getting more intelligent. I am receiving more wisdom. It just doesn't feel like it because I'm speaking it through the language. I'm writing it through the language. Some would say, well, do you really know what you're saying? Well, my higher self knows what I'm saying, and I feel what I'm saying. And there's like, I know what I'm saying, but to be able to explain it sometimes, but it's like I have a narrator because I'm connected. So as I'm speaking it, I have the voice telling me what it is I'm saying. So I'm understanding more. It's a matter of going within and freeing yourself from all the bull crap that we've been made to believe because somebody else wrote it in a book. Or because somebody else believes that way. So because somebody else believes that way. My gosh, you better believe that way too. But wait a minute. You don't have to at all. So this language like I said, I did not learn it. It's not something that I learned. And by me, the way I teach it to others is I speak it. And as I stated before, when you're looking and it's like, well, lady, I don't understand what you're saying. It's like, okay, do it this way. Okay. Instead of trying to have your mind, okay, understand it. They scam. Push the mind aside for now. Okay. Here. They scam. I want you to go here in the heart, and I want you to feel the energy. Deskia, bring the two brains to the center. Okay? And in so doing, you will actually feel it. And as you feel it, the more you hear it and the more you feel it, the more you will start to understand it in your higher self. I have a friend that I speak it a lot. I speak it all the time. It doesn't matter where I am. I'll be in a grocery store, or I'll be at a store, and all of a sudden I speak it to the clerks. I speak it to other people, and a lot of people like it. And some people say, "Well, why do you speak it? Nobody understands you." Because it's not a matter of you understanding what I'm saying. It's feel what I'm saying. When I do it, it's spirit coming up, and spirit speaks to you. Okay, it's not so much that I'm channeling, because it's not so much channeling as it is my higher self that just, I much prefer being my higher self, because I'm always my higher self. I'm becoming more balanced. And I'm going to say it, I don't know if some of you notice, but in like when I'm speaking, a lot of the time I'll get a vein in the center of my forehead. And it looks like the letter Y. Well, when you look up the spiritual meaning of the letter Y, it's wisdom. It's yin and yang, the balance coming together. Mother, father. I'm bringing in the energy and I'm releasing it. It expands. It expands your body. Now, this, like when I speak this language with my friend, and I do the signing, what ends up, she's starting to speak it now too, because she's starting to understand it. And like I said, that when you feel like you're going to speak gibberish or something like that, just let it go. Just let it flow, because you're not speaking gibberish. You're actually speaking the light language, the original language, the God's language. It's what we were meant to be speaking. And they took and they separated us. And I told her, like, it's programming. Wipe the programming away. And once you wipe it away, then you become free and enlightened to be who you are. Not what a program says. Breathe. Tell the program, go away. Okay. So I want to tell, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm starting to do healing sessions. I'm a little, like, I can do it. I know that I'm just a little nervous of doing it. Not because I'm nervous, but because when I do the healing, what ends up happening is sometimes I cry. Okay? Because when I'm doing the healing, I'm taking in your I'm taking in your energies. So I'm taking in your feelings, all feelings. And I'm feeling you everywhere. I'm feeling if you're crying inside. I'm feeling if you're angry. I'm feeling if you're thinking, like, really, lady? But it's like, really, dude or dudette. So you've probably seen some of my videos where I'm speaking, and then all of a sudden I speak in another language, and then I start crying. Well, I'm connected. I'm connected with many people. I'm connected with the collective. So when somebody else is feeling something, I feel it too. It's the empath aspect of it. I had somebody ask me, well, isn't that a burden? No, it's not a burden, because it's who I am. It's what I'm here for. It does hurt sometimes, but then I go and I listen to healing frequencies to help me get through it. Like, there's many people that say, like, you got to leave everybody, leave them behind, like, what have you. God would not leave anybody behind. So I'm here. We leave no one behind. We help. When you're a teacher, when you're a very good teacher, when you're a really good teacher, okay, you don't leave anybody behind. You don't center on certain people because, oh, well, they're understanding it more than that person, so I'm going to leave that person aside because it's easier to work with this one, because they already know. Wait a minute. If they already know, then why do you have to work with them? Why not help the people who are struggling really bad, because maybe they're not understanding it a little bit. It's like when you're sitting in a classroom and you don't understand. You're sitting there. What, you can probably relate to this. You're sitting there with your hand up because you need help, or you want to ask a question. And you're sitting there and you're sitting there. The teacher will look at you and then they'll just walk away. You're not a very good teacher if you're doing that. If someone is calling you or putting their hand up for guidance because you're a teacher or you're a guide, then you don't ignore them. If they're explaining their experience and they're not understanding it, and you know exactly what they're talking about or where they're coming from, well, why don't you explain what you've been through and how you dealt with it? It's called teaching tools. Instead of taking the easy road and saying, oh, well, because you're not in my soul family or my soul tribe, I want nothing to do with you. We're all freaking family. Nishka, mikutudaya sale, lekutula sale, lokula makaria toya mane. Mikaria daskule asulela la kalia monokoria tai, ki tudi sinene tatanyo kotai. It's like the mother aspect of it. We're teaching. We're supposed to be teaching. Can't make someone do something. But it doesn't mean that you stop trying. Because eventually, it will click. So sitting there saying that we're looking for our soul family. Well, there are lost souls. And God is here to help. God is here to find their lost children. And if you signed up to be here to do this, then you're supposed to be helping find them too. Nishkina mataye. Tisulene kurama ananoi kaino ito ana kai ice Diskine monika no niyan. Disyutuli. We're meant to learn lessons to not be selfish anymore. Like, no, don't let them drown you. But when they start drowning, try and help save them. Don't let them drown. You're a lifeguard. You signed up to be a lifeguard. You signed up to be a healer. You signed up to be a guide, a light worker, a teacher. So when I hear others saying, like, walk away from leaving behind. Maybe God should leave you behind. But you know what? God's not. Raise a hallelujah, because heaven comes to fight for you. Open your eyes. Buriam. Open. Dishkai. Pop it. Just because we don't understand something, it doesn't mean we should like poo-poo it or knock it, because it's a program that makes you do that. Limited beliefs. It's that little box that they just want to, that's small, and they just want to keep you there. Others want to keep you there because they don't want you to rise above. No one person is any better than the other because we're all equal. And some would say, yeah, that's what you think, lady. I got this kind of job, or I got that kind of job, and that person's just cleaning. And I say to that, well, you say that person's just cleaning? Well, if that person is cleaning, that person is what's keeping your workspace clean. Would you like to go work in filth, dirt? I know some do. And like they say, some people's got to do the dirty jobs. Well, how about we share the dirty jobs? How about, like, instead of expecting somebody to pick up after you, put your own stuff in the garbage. When I was younger, and my dad was working as a cleaner, I went to help him clean one day, and he told me about what the head guy of the business would do. All along, putting newspapers on the filing cabinet. And then all of a sudden, they just started throwing the newspapers on the floor and expecting my 65-year-old dad to pick them up and put them on the shelf. And my dad told me about this. So this one day, he sent me upstairs to do the work upstairs, and he would do the downstairs. My dad knows that I have a mouth. and I take no shit. So I went upstairs and I was going through and I was cleaning the offices, getting the garbage, and I got to the end office. I got to the head guy's office. And I go in. He hands me his garbage. Okay, nice. At least he'll pick up a garbage can. But then he takes his newspaper and throws it on the floor. Right there in front of me was me standing there. So I kind of look and I give him back the garbage can. And I look at it and it's like, so-and-so, is that newspaper for recycling? He looked at me, yep. And I said, good. Can you pick it up and pass it to me? Because we're not dogs and we don't go fetch. We worked somewhere before. And a man pooped in a urinal for a cleaner to clean it up. People smear crap all over bathroom stalls. How ignorant are you? Some are thinking, well, lady, you're not very nice. No, I'm a consciousness coach. It's like, wake up. Why do you expect somebody to clean up your poop after you smeared it? You're pretty dirty. I don't think you were raised in a barn. But who knows? And it's not a matter of whether you're raised in a barn or not. It's a matter of, why would you do that? Would you want to clean up somebody else's crap? We need to stop expecting somebody to pick up after our messes. We need to pick up after our own. We make the mess. Why can't we clean it? It'd be a lot cleaner world if we did. Instead of throwing garbage out your car window. I know I go driving and I look and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so disgusting. I did it when I was a lot younger. But it was like, you learn behavior, but you can correct it. It's not somebody else's fault if you keep doing the same thing. It's your fault because you're not changing it. You think because somebody else is doing it that, oh, well, I may as well do it too. Well, if everyone thought that way, we'd have one awful dirty world. We're more picking it up now. And I do think that like these big corporations should be responsible for getting rid of their own trash because, well, we're buying it, but they have these places where you get a coffee. Well, here, give us your reusable cup. Well, what's the sense in that? Because they make the coffee in their cups that they give out to you anyways and throw it in the garbage. So that's kind of redundant, is it not? So as I wake up and I see these things and I have more and more epiphanies, I become more and more connected with spirit, and the language becomes more and more fluent. It becomes more and more where it's just, it comes out and I talk. And it's like, sometimes it sounds different because there's different forms. Some say it sounds like you're speaking German, Portuguese, Celtic. Some it's native, it's Hopi, it's Tashkele, Ekoitamohina, Setole, Olikule, Ekalakarai, Oko Ekalmikuya, Setona Ekotopia, Ditelesh Selekrean Kuriatan, Iketuesia, escrito de SLL Leila Kolo Yamagi Mugia. I've had somebody tell me, well, you're not even speaking a real language. Well, I think you know differently. It's your negative energies. It's your dark shadows that just don't like it. And that's too bad. Because I'm not going to stop. It's going to happen more and more often. Because it's who I am. It's who you are. And it's a matter of you coming out of your shell. I had someone tell me, well, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to hear voices. No, I don't want to speak that. Well, hearing the voices is connecting. It's telepath. And once you start realizing and understanding what's happening to you, it's a lot easier to navigate and to understand. In 99, when it first happened to me, it was like, holy heck. Everywhere I went, I was hearing voices. I was hearing people's thoughts. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, holy crap. And how I know that I'm actually communicating with other people around the world, and I write it in my journal, is people give me their names and where they live. And then I go in and I Google them. And they're there. Medium, I'm a medium, but I won't tell somebody something about their past because I won't let those spirits tell me, because right now I don't want to know. I just want to stay focused for right now. And when I'm ready, then I will do it. I was doing it there back a year and a half ago. And I was helping look for a little boy. And I was very connected. And when I went around the people, holy crap, the negative energy that was around there, it was trying to rip me apart. To the point where I had somebody say to me, like, hey, Tara, if you want, I can try and take some of that energy for you. And I was just like, no. It's because of who I am. And we're all stronger than we think we are, that we're told we are. Our ego, like, people get ego and they get all confused. It's not about just like materialistic things or thinking that you're all that and then some, and that your poop don't stink and everybody else's does, and you're the best at everything and what have you. But that's not just what ego is. Ego can be very ignorant to you. It can tell you that, oh, well, you're not worth it. You can't do this. You can't do that. So we don't try because our ego gets in the way. People think that, like, I like dressing up, and it's got nothing to do with ego. It's because it feels good. And I can walk around in pajamas all day. I can walk around with holes in my clothes and my hair a mess. And I've gone places like that, and I don't care. You don't like the way I look. Well, don't look at me. But I like fixing myself up because it helps me to feel good. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. And it's like, oh, well, you got ego. No. That's not my ego doing it. It's me. Yeska, mushkele yeska. Ki tudia no yada yadi. Siento de esa na se pulela lukria to ne. It's not bad to be rich. It's not bad to be poor, but don't get rich off somebody else's back or by using someone else. We don't have to have a whole bunch of stuff to be happy. We think we do because it's the anxiety. It's the programming that trains us. Like, okay, well, wait a minute. Watch these stupid humans. And when we put them under pressure, and under a lot of stress and anxiety, they go buy, consume. Give me, I gotta have this. When this pandemic thing was going on, I heard one of the doctors say, because, and it was right, like, wait a minute, don't go to Costco just because you got there's a pair of sandals or flip-flops there on sale. Because it causes a pandemic. They're not supposed to cause panic and anxiety. They're supposed to calm the people down. But that's not what happened here. There's more and more people that aren't going out as much anymore because they can't afford to, but they're also finding out that it is always better to cook at home. Do it with family, do it together. And some will say, well, I ain't got time to cook. You don't have time to cook because you're working yourself to death. And I'm not saying that it's something that you want to be doing. It's something that you feel a necessity that you have to do because you got to live. We're paying all this stuff. They're putting out these tests, these things that you put over your face, and these hands, the sanitizer and stuff. You get them. They say, buy it, get it. It's all about that. It's not about your health so much. It's all about the money because it's going into your pocket because we're paying into healthcare. But then they're saying we don't have the money for healthcare because the biggest majority of the money that they're taking for healthcare, they're putting it into buying this stuff to tell you got to do this. And then you can't get proper medical care because they say, well, the money's not there. Where'd the money go? Right? So it's also part of the enlightenment. It's also part of the waking up and allowing spirit to come forward and say, like, hey, I got to separate from this. There's something not right here. I'm not going and doing this. I'm not buying this. I'm not going and getting this to put up my nose to check to see if I have a virus. I know what the true virus is. They skim. Okay? Because as I stated before, okay, I'm going to use a word. They say COVID. Okay? And as I stated before, I decoded the word COVID, and it gives a DEA number. And it can, like, the energies can try and slap me upside the head or do whatever you want because I said that. Because if you really look at the word, if you really look at what the actual name of this virus was, corona. They say coronavirus. Look at the word corona. It actually means crown. The corona. The outer layer of the sun. Solar flares, energy flares. It's hitting us. The energy gets so intense that it's clearing. That's why we get flu-like symptoms. I'm not saying that flu don't exist, but the energy is so intense that their bodies have a hard time with it. It's, like I said, it's the solar flares coming from the crown, the outer layer of the sun. If you look up, you'll notice that the sky is becoming extremely blue and the sun is becoming white. This isn't the first time of climate change. Okay, we've had climate change like many times, as they state in other documentaries and what have you. But what's happening here now, it's man-made. Okay, it's a lot of stuff that they're doing. They're manipulating. They're putting stuff in the air. Like, did you ever look up at the sky and all of a sudden it's like a streak and there's a bunch of them, like all zigzagged, what have you? Do you think those are clouds? Because they're not. They try to say that, oh, well, it's this type of cloud or it's that type of cloud. But it's not. I know of some people that said when they went to school and they learned it takes 7 days for a cloud to form. Is it true? Did things change? It's about questions, limited beliefs. They do manipulate the weather manipulation. And spirit works through everyone in different ways. And this is why you got people coming out and saying and telling people this is what's happening. Okay? We've already been through this. We just keep reliving it. You know, deja vu. Why is there deja vu? It's like rewinding. I said before, if you look, okay, you look back at World War I. Okay? Pandemic. Spanish flu. Right? 50 to 100 million people died in that. And that was in 1919. Okay? So then you look at World War II. Okay, everything that's going on. Wait a minute. Like, Okay. And then the injections then. Right? You got history buffs here. Put 2 and 2 together. And look at what's happening now. It's all happening at once within like the past 2-3 years. This is what I've been waking up to, and this is why the language has been getting more and more fluent, because I'm sending out. Spirit is sending out through us the truth. And it's up to us to be able to differentiate and see what's real and what's the illusion. There's a song, and I forget what it is. I was listening to the other day, and I actually liked it because it is so true. I had somebody tell me the other night, last night. They're starting to understand what I'm saying about ascension. We are ascending. Rising up. Okay, we're rising up. We're in ascension. The flu-like symptoms, that's part of ascension. Your body aching, that's a lot part of ascension. I'm not saying stop going to a doctor. I'm not saying that. But just start feeling, okay, and realize, because anytime I stub my toe, it's like, I got no pain, pain's gone. I had someone put lower a hoist on the top part of my foot from the beginning of the toes forward. My foot was under there because I was getting coffee. Why he lowered it, I don't know. Because you're not supposed to move those things if somebody's around it. But he lowered it and it went right on my foot with the car on the hoist. So it was crushing my foot. And I'm like, it's on my foot, it's on my foot, it's on my foot. He lifted it up and it was like, oh shit. And then I was going, I got no pain, it's okay, I got no pain. My pain went away. When you focus on something, did you ever notice it gets worse? You go into a hospital. You're there because you're not feeling well, but you're going to the hospital and you feel worse than before you even went in. They scam the mind. We program our mind. That's why placebo effect works. Det är skräm. Det kreatar det är skräm. Vilket det är då. So, I guess the way I learned the language was by waking up and becoming enlightened. And I feel very good for it. I have my days, but we all do. A spiritual awakening is not, and I've had somebody say it, and it's so true, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's pretty friggin' painful because we have to look at our shadow selves. We have to look at our own ignorance, our own greed, our own judgments. And it can be pretty painful because we don't want to look. We just want to go like that, or we just want to try to run away. But God's making us face it now. That's why for some of us, it feels like our life has been just turned upside down and we don't know how the heck it happened or what happened. We just know that, whoa, head spinner. But I'm here to say, don't be afraid of change because change is good. It can be scary. But when you feel like something's pushing you, it's the universe pushing you. It's God pushing you to do something that you've been contemplating on, that you've been wanting to do or wanting to change, but you felt like you couldn't. And then it becomes very painful because the universe will literally throw you right into it. And once you start going with the flow, it's not as painful anymore. I still go through periods where I'm purging purging the shadow energies. And there's times like I have the spirits and the ancestors and the angels and spirit and like the collective and everything. It's like there was times when it was just like spread out eagle. Just let it flow and just breathe. It feels like a very intense anxiety panic attack. But once you start telling yourself to breathe and going in your heart space and feeling yourself in your heart space, you can't always put yourself, because you're getting frustrated, you can't always put yourself in the heart space because we got to deal with stuff. Because if you keep putting yourself in the heart space and you don't deal with what you really need to be dealing with, then when you start dealing with it, it's going to be extremely intense. Worse than what it would be if we just dealt with it in the beginning. Briescalet fuiskrian, the toilet Kitine miskriamantu iesklei, ekotarias kuriata. Kirian uskeaska, si purieta turia porigato kurigamanike. Pikrian, iskuriata, si sileme uria, ekurian paturian, but and if you have naysayers, just say, well, okay. Each to their own. We do get frustrated because we're having a hard time understanding, well, why do we understand it and these people don't? Because they're not ready. They will when they're ready. But like I said, if you are a guide, if you are a teacher, if you are a light worker, you never give up on these people. You answer their hand when it's raised. You don't just block them out because they don't understand. You just got to try teaching a different way or helping them a different way. You can't go buy a book. You got to go by your inner self. Think of your experiences. What worked for you? What worked? I know people say, well, what works for one doesn't work for you. Exactly. And I know that. So you figure out and you look within yourself. My way of doing things is to teach myself is like by doing these videos, and then afterwards I go back and I watch the videos, and it's not ego. It's me going back to take my own advice because I can give it out, but it's hard to take your own when you're listening to yourself. But when you go back and you watch yourself and you actually listen and hear what you're saying and observe your actions and behaviors, then you start to learn to be able to also guide yourself, because then you're showing tools to others, but then you're also showing the tools to yourself. Écoutez, c'est na asio e sala puya pari mai boy. Pikitu de sala e sule skole akayama kaya to akayai. Se tu le kara tu shela meni gari okari ai kori mai. Pikitu de sala muria. Pikitu de sala. Puisque manjkai. So I love you all, and I want to thank you all for being here. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Give me your thoughts. Explain your journey, what you've been experiencing. And always remember, you're never alone with this. Okay? You're never alone. There's always somebody out there who's experiencing it. And when you're experiencing something, work really hard to refrain from judging somebody else. Because remember, not everybody else is ready yet. We all wake up. We all, it all happens when it's meant for us to happen. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this kind of helped the person who asked with regards to when I learned this language. So it was about 2.5, 3 years ago that I just started speaking it. And it feels darn good to do it too. So I want you all to be big, bold, brave, and most importantly, be yourself. I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, and most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting and willing to receive it. Stay strong, keep going, and never give up, and always be kind to yourself and others. Vriaskeriskule atwina. Kitutui sidi boda imi gidudwe. Se tola alakale poto imi kituia selashfule. Bikitris hino turia tahikria. The kitumi isini numani ashkami amoy kaitui. Se tola rekria poto bikram. Bikriatoi. I love you all. I wish you all a great weekend. Many blessings. Stay safe, stay happy, stay joyous. Get outside in nature, be with family, and always remember you are loved. Deskerambutai. Deskerai. Deskeratai. Okay. Duska. Etule silema.